Thank you for joining us. We're right here at a Toronto street corner, the corner of Finch and Yonge, and this is where the beginning of a deadly rampage started here yesterday. A van driving down this street right here, eventually hitting pedestrians, eventually killing 10 people, injuring 15 others. This is also where the site of a public memorial has started. You can see here people leaving messages, leaving flowers, messages like "Never Forgotten," "One Toronto," and "Toronto Strong." The community obviously reacting to this tragedy with shock, absolutely with shock. And we are here, we're joined by three people here, a couple of whom witnessed the event. I'm just going to introduce them. This is Aras, Henry, and Konstatin, and we'll be talking to them during this Facebook Live. And I want to start with you, Aras, because you were on the scene yesterday, and I just wanted you to tell me a bit about what you saw.
So a family member mentioned to me that, oh gosh, there is an accident outside, people got injured, and granted that I have a first aid training and rescue trainings. My instinct response was I ran out of the door, tried to help. As a matter of fact, I always carry gloves in my pocket. You never know when you need it. When I went to the scene, my first reaction was, okay, hit and run, panicked, hit another person because I saw two people. I started attending to one of them, offering first aid assistance. And there was another lovely lady who also had gloves on. And I realized, okay, she knows what she's doing. She was taking care of the other person. And next thing I know, look, wait a second, there's actually a third person further away. And there's a fourth person south of me. And there's a fifth person right after that. In a very short distance, I could see all these multiple people
Hurt.
Oh, exactly, they are hurt. Thank goodness the individual that I offered my assistance, first aid assistance, I'm very positive, I'm optimistic that he will be recovering. But unfortunately, right behind where you're standing, there are three individuals who have been deceased.
Now, you swung into action soon after that, and you've also swung into action here. I understand that you're trying to organize a vigil and setting up some fundraising for the victims.
Exactly, because the victims, their families, are now suffering immensely emotionally. The least we could do, help them financially. That's very important for us. So we put a little bit of a GoFundMe campaign for us. People, I mean, we really appreciate people's generosity. They could go on GoFundMe.com/Toronto Van Attack Victims Fund. And this is organized by the member of community, people who put this vigils, as well as condo associations. This neighborhood, we make sure that every single dollar would be properly allocated. We are going to work with our police divisions, the neighborhood, with our councillor, to make sure every single dollar goes to our neighbor. So if you would like to help, and if you cannot, we really appreciate if you just share this with your friends on Facebook. I mean, you're on Facebook, you could totally check it out and help them. Much appreciate helping the people who are really struggling immensely at this moment.
Now, you all, of course, live in this neighborhood. You know this neighborhood well. Henry, I'll talk to you. Yesterday, you were driving through the neighborhood, and again, you witnessed what happened.
Yes, absolutely. So the memories are just so fresh, and it's in my mind because the fact that I was on Yonge Street, right about to make a U-turn to go on southbound, and then I hear some really loud banging noises, and then right away I noticed that a white cargo van was driving southbound and hitting, just banging into objects, like bang, bang, bang. Mailboxes are gone, newsstands are gone, and bus stops are gone. And then right next moment I noticed that he ran into a fire hydrant. Fire hydrant's been lifted off the ground, and then again, right away, he ran into a pedestrian. The pedestrian was on the ground, and then my first instinct, I'm gonna chase down that guy. I'm gonna get his plate number down, and then the moment when I thought that more and more pedestrians are being run over, and that driver making zigzags on the pedestrian rights. So I chased him down. My instinct again came out that I'm gonna make loud honking, very loud honking on my horn. So then I make people alert because the fact that he was driving southbound on the pedestrian walk. So a lot of people that were hurt and were being driven by, they're walking southbound as well. So they're not aware that a car is coming from their back. So honk, honk, honk all the way, rolled down my window, started yelling. And then at the intersection of Yonge and Church, I noticed that to avoid the traffic, the car, that van actually drove on the other incoming lane on the other side of the road, and then deliberately, purposely hitting a pedestrian that was crossing the road on the other side. And then again, went back on the southbound pedestrian walk again and just kept on driving into people. My wife sitting beside me in the car panicked every time when she saw, screamed almost, every time when she saw a body being thrown off in the air and landed on the ground. So it's absolutely devastating to see something like this, very imagery, right in front of your eyes.
And of course, the police are conducting a long and very complex investigation, talking to a lot of witnesses, really trying to piece together what happened over multiple city blocks here in Toronto. And you spoke to police. You gave your witness statement.
Yes, I did. Yesterday, actually, I stopped right at Empress and Yonge, which is about a block down where I first noticed first started chasing this driver, and then stopped by the traffic, and I see there's a police just came, blocked off the intersection. There were a lot of casualties there because there are a lot of crowds at the intersection. So I stopped my car just a little bit down the road, and I walked back to try to give a statement to the police at that time. And he was really busy, so trying to control the scene. So at that moment I didn't. I haven't had a chance, but afterward I did. But just as I was walking down the street, just seeing many bodies on the ground, it's horrifying. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were here yesterday at the scene, and we just saw police walking up and down. People were standing along the sidewalk, and they were just asking people, if you saw anything, come tell us. We want to hear from you. It's just been a call out to everyone in Toronto, if you have footage, if you saw something, to go speak to police. I want to get to you, Konstatin, because you didn't see what happened, but you did start this memorial, and I want to talk to you about that. Why did you decide what spurred the decision to start this right here at Yonge and Finch?
I would have to say that this man here is a hero, and he realized that what he needed to do at that moment, and I'm not as heroic as him. I'm not even close. I basically I saw the bodies, I saw the carnage, and I felt like I have to do something to give some outlet for people to express themselves. I needed to do it for myself as well, just because I felt all this sadness and sorrow just walking down the street. So I grabbed some supplies and I wrote first messages, and then people came and started to write their messages, and I encouraged them to write in their language. And you see the results. I planted the seed, and this is the beautiful tree that grew. And unfortunately, I wish it was a tree that had better reasons to be planted.
What was your first message? What did you write?
That our thoughts are with the victims and their families. That's the first thing that came to my mind. And that hate will not solve this. It's a cause of this, but it will not solve this problem, unfortunately.
You live in this neighborhood. As you mentioned, you asked people to leave a message in any language, and we see a number of languages written here. It's diverse. Tell me, for people obviously who don't live in Toronto or who don't come to this neighborhood, describe it for me.
The neighborhood itself, well, it's very diverse. It's Korean, Russian, Iranian community is very strong here. There's Italian, Jewish, and Filipino. We're very diverse, and that's what makes us strong. It's a very friendly community. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say that there's a lot of cooperation, but there's definitely a sense of community. I mean, if you walk down the streets, it's always busy. People are out 24/7. There's always something going on, and there's a lot of restaurants that are open 24/7. So you can feel a sense of a community here. You can feel that people do share, and this expresses better than anything else.
And it is a big city. I've heard this part of town described sort of as an uptown, downtown. It's a really urban area.
Yeah. It became more of it recently with all the condo development, but if you go a little bit further, it's still a little suburb. It still has that feel. So we had combined both of best worlds here, I guess.
In the spirit, actually, of the memorial, I just want to note, of course, that condolences have been pouring in. We're getting condolences coming online from the UK, the United States, as far as Cameroon. So people have really paid attention to what happened here. How do you think, Henry, this might affect the city of Toronto?
Well, I think, nowadays the world that we live in is very different than you think about 50 years back ago. You really have to be alert of things that are surrounding that you're in right now. There are accidents that might happen anytime to anybody. One thing that came to my mind is that yesterday, you never know what's coming the next second. If it's you went back to sleep, is it tomorrow that's coming, or is some accident that's going to be coming? You never know. Are you expecting tomorrow, or are you expecting an accident? So, and something like that could happen literally anywhere to anybody. So, but we have to live. That's the part. It's to be alive. To do what we supposed to do. So really, I think a lot of remorse, and definitely condolences in the city. Definitely hard feelings, the precautions for the victims and all the people that are working on this. But absolutely, we have to just keep going where we had to be.
I don't know if you can answer this, but it's something that a lot of people worldwide noticed, and I know you and Aras, who had to leave, have been really busy organizing the community response. But a lot of people reacted to the fact that the police officer didn't shoot the suspect. Do you have any thoughts on that? What do you think of that reaction and the police response, the police in the city?
You know what? It's a sad day that when policeman doesn't shoot, it makes national news. But in this case, I have to applaud the police officer and his bravery. He stood up. He made the right decision. There was no need to make this tragedy worse, because otherwise we wouldn't have gotten the questions. I know that this person is getting interrogated right now. They're getting information out of him, and I hope we get some answers, and we hope we get some closure for the families. At least we'll be able to understand what causes person to do something like this. What causes you to drive down the street and start killing pedestrians. There's no justification in my mind, but at least this police officer is a true hero. He did what he could. He did everything to save the human lives.
Now, there are vigils being organized. We see this memorial here. What do you think Toronto will be like 2 days from now, a week from now? Do you think this will change the city?
I don't think it will fundamentally change this city, but it will definitely change this neighborhood. And we'll become stronger. We'll get through this. There's a lot of people here from different backgrounds, people fleeing prosecution, people fleeing horrible living conditions back home. So we'll get through this. We're strong people. But as in terms of the city, it would be really nice to see some response from the government to help out the community, to help out the victims. That's what I would love to see.
And Henry, for you, again, how do you think that this may change the Toronto community in the days, weeks, months to come?
I think definitely the community as a whole has to be more tightened together and be aware. Again, like I said, we're not separating any groups or individuals. Holding together as a team is a lot stronger. And the fact that with regard to the security of the city, it's one big concern with a lot of because I also know that this area, Yonge and Finch area, is populated with a diverse population, and also a lot of students that are living in this area in the condos that go to school. So a lot of overseas students, they don't have their parents here. So hearing this news absolutely went global, went viral just overnight globally. I spoke to my in-laws overseas in Beijing as well. They saw the news, and national news again. They called right in and asking any injuries. So a lot of worriness, a lot of students that are living here, their parents must be feeling the same thing, sort of a sense of insecurity for their children. Seeing a lot of the victim who has actually passed away. You send their kids overseas to school, and then you don't see them coming back again. So yeah.
And I think you see that response after tragedies like this is, just people checking in. I mean, I got messages yesterday as well. Are you okay? You're in Toronto. How are you? Are you safe? Do you know anyone who was hurt? And it's just that fear that, again, because it's such a diverse community in Toronto as a whole too, that it resonates worldwide. I want to say thank you for joining us, and thank you very much, Henry, Aras, again, who had to step out, and Konstatin. Thank you for joining us, and thank you.